My native brother awakened to a boot kicking in his face at the bridge shelter last night, about 10 o'clock. This morning, last night was cold, 15 degrees, probably 10 degrees with a wind chill. After driving through town several times, offering brotherhood using coffee or hot chocolate as a excuse, the rec center to do some studying sitting at a table was my destination. And to my surprise, my brother appeared surprised because he doesn't usually go to the library or the rec center in the morning. He had just come from the hospital where they did a CAT scan to try and determine if any permanent damage had been done. Mercifully, it seems not. It was my honor and joy that he saw me and told me what had happened. That he had that level of trust and regard to share with me. It seemed he could benefit from talking to someone that cared, so we did. We've been talking every day when I see him on the streets in some level of inebriation. He is a soul in whom I have great confidence. He's very compassionate, inebriated or not. He'll half carry sisters or brothers to the shelter to be sure they get in on time. He is highly regarded by his kin on the streets. I see it. And it's easy to see why. When we were in the rec center, we talked about, in response to his genuine receipt of my speaking clearly the goodness I see in him, he spoke about going to the Pinion Project to get his housing paperwork in order. He also spoke of being aware that the one that kicked his face in, who was excluded thereby from the shelter for the rest of the year, would be looking for him. I said, why don't I walk you to the Pinion Project? And thank goodness he said yes. By the time we were there, he decided he wanted to go into the drop-in shelter, partly to take the pulse. He figured that guy that kicked his face in might have been there. Turns out he was. I didn't see the encounter. It was back in the office. And my friend, as we were walking out, told me that the fellow was there and was very hostile. In our 15-minute walk from the rec center to the Pinion Project, he was speaking to my listening ear his thoughts. The staff at the bridge shelter had advised him to press charges. He has no animosity to this perpetrator. He doesn't want to hurt the individual. He doesn't want to be a snitch. He does want to be responsible, and he wouldn't mind some level of protection. So he decided that rather than getting his housing paperwork in order, he needed to go to the police station. Having seen the ongoing animosity from the perpetrator, I said I'd be glad to walk with you. It was a 15 or 20-minute walk, and he was, thank goodness, glad to accept that brotherhood. We spoke all the way as we walked together. I said, if you don't want me to, I won't go in with you, but I would like to, and he was glad of that. We were appropriately received by a receptionist, told that they would alert an officer to come out and talk with us, and after 5 or 10 minutes that happened. Unless he was a really good actor, the officer was a really decent human being, a young man, late 30s maybe. Handled things very appropriately and compassionately, as a real human being, it seemed. I think that would have happened whether I was there or not, but it happened. And the officer advised that yes, he would process the the charges, but he said there's an alternative if my brother preferred, and that was to get a protection order so that the individual would be formally advised that they were not to talk to or approach my brother. And that is what my brother selected. Regrettably, it will take a couple of days. We walked from there a shorter distance back to the rec center, where I had some sandwiches in a bag that I gave to my brother, who had not eaten since last night and was feeling unwell. He was hopeful that his sister, a teacher on the reservation, both of them daughters of their mom that is a retired teacher on the reservation. This is a very extremely capable young man, my brother. Very promising soul. Hopeful that they might get him a room for the night so he could get a good, safe rest. And off he went. An hour or so later, I was parked outside the library, taking a 15-minute nap, and then I was going to go in and do some studying on the history of homeless services and whatnot here in Cortez. And there's my brother again with some friends, some street friends. Well, James, your prayer worked. I have a room for the night. It's all the way across town, but I have a room for the night. They won't let me check in until 4 o'clock, according to the website, to which I was a bit concerned. He let me make a phone call, and it turns out, hey, we've got a room. Sure, come on in. He can check in before 4 o'clock. And he said, James, I was encouraging him. I see your friends. I see you guys have already started to do some drinking. Listen, God answered your prayer. You need to get into that hotel room, and you need to do it now. God doesn't like it when you disrespect the answering of prayers. I wasn't lecturing him. He knew I wasn't. I was sharing with him what I was hearing from my Holy Spirit. And off he went. I was in the library, and he was in again. James, and that's when we determined, that's when he said, 4 o'clock check-in, and I made a phone call, and no, it looks like that you could get in now. And I said, the vehicle is slow, but, I'll ride alongside you while we walk over. And he was delighted of that. We stopped at the Walmart on the way. Yesterday morning, when I was at the coffee machines getting hot water in the thermoses, a tall, thin fella, a little disagreeable, I thought, realized that the water I was taking was interfering with his ability to get coffee out of his accompanying machine. The water pressure must be quite low. And I told him genuinely, although I was thought he was a little bit unfriendly, I told him, boy, I'm getting hot water for the homeless folks. I didn't know it was interfering with your machine. I'm so glad you told me, all of which was genuine. This morning I'm getting hot water, and that same fellow is next to me. And I said, aren't you the fellow from yesterday? He said yes, and we were both glad we saw each other. I was filling up the thermoses. Do you accept contribution to your work? And I said, I gladly accept contributions to the work. He went out to his car and came back with $20, which he was glad to provide. As my brother and I were walking to the Days Inn Hotel, he mentioned that he was hoping his sister, and by the way, unless this guy is a grade A actor, there was just nothing manipulative going on here. It was brother to brother. I'm hoping my sister might put in a pickup order for me at Walmart, and I'll walk. I didn't want him to leave the hotel. Listen, the Walmart isn't far. Let's go there. And I explained to him about the $20. No, James. I said, yes. This was given to me to do good work. You are good work. I'm making an investment in you. I believe in you. And most of that $20 went to a foot-long Subway at Walmart and several cookies. 30 times, genuinely, from the heart, James, no one would do this for me but you. And I said, the joy is all mine, man. Don't you feel that? Don't you realize that Jesus was the most intoxicated man that the planet has ever seen? The most intoxicated man that ever was seen. But he got his intoxication from the only place that can provide the ultimate intoxication. Serving his neediest sisters and brothers for the love of it, for the joy of it. Anyway, it was quite a day, and I can't remember when I've had a more joyful 3 or 4 or 5 hours. What will come of this? I don't know. I'm speaking to you in part because I received 4.5 months of chemo treatment every 2 weeks, leaving the hospital wearing a bag of poison that would be pumped into me for the next 2 days after having sat in a chair for several hours having poison pumped into me. I suppose they could have said, well, wait a minute, we don't know this is going to work, so let's not do it. They didn't know it would work. They knew it had about a 50% probability of keeping me alive. They might have decided after the first treatment, well, wait a minute, we gave this guy a treatment. That's enough. I mean, what does it take? They didn't. They hung with it for 4.5 months, every 2 weeks. They didn't know it would cure me. They didn't know it would bring me back to full life. But they took a shot. With all the operations and stuff, it must have been several $100,000. They took the shot. They didn't know. There was no certainty. There's no certainty in the investment of caring that I'm making in this brother. And if I didn't see promise, if I didn't see life that might be brought back to full life, I wouldn't do it. I am given limited talents and I'm supposed to use them well, but I do see it there. The same way as my medical team. There's no certainty, but oh my God, what a joyful privilege to make the investment today and the investments that I make in folks all day long on the streets. What a privilege, what a joy. I envy no one on earth